Sorry, excuse me. I know this is really random, but can I just tell you something very quickly?
What's up?
Okay, so you're basically, I'm guessing, well, you look very nice,
Oh, thank you.
very stylish. I'm guessing you're European.
Not European.
Okay,
American.
all right, so she's American, fair play. You look very Swedish. Have you ever been to Stockholm?
I've never been in Stockholm. I'm dying to go though. I'd love to go.
Okay, well, Stockholm is, yeah, it's the most stylish place.
Cool.
Maybe apart from London.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. So what's your heritage?
I'm actually Eastern European. And German.
Okay.
And then on my dad's side, British and Irish.
Wow,
So,
okay. But you've
big
definitely taken the Eastern European features, I think.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, you're not the first person.
Hey guys, this is YAD here, back for another beautiful value-filled video, alright? This one is aimed at over 30s, but you youngsters might learn something too if you keep watching, but mostly this is what over 30s tend to do. From my extensive teaching experience, 10 years of teaching now, I've noticed a pattern in anyone who's slightly mature and older and they've achieved a few things in life. These are some of the things they're genuinely struggling with, okay? So the first one is the most obvious one. Whenever I listen to someone who has all these life experiences, but not much with women, not much with perhaps going up to a girl, let's face it, going up to a girl and chatting her up cold isn't something anyone's really familiar with, apart from a few freaks like me. But you know, the guys who go out there and they're very sort of fresh to this whole thing, the only thing they have is them to draw on their life. That's all they have, right? So I've got to draw on what I know. And the way they compensate for perhaps not knowing what to say next or where to take the conversation is they talk about themselves, to the point where they could even talk about a friend, not even themselves, right? Which is even less interesting to the girl. So what I mean is, let's take an example. Say you've said to a girl, you've gone up to her and you've said, listen, what I love is I love how nice you look, and I like the fact that you look like you've just been partying. Because say it's like a Sunday or whatever, and she's like all glammed up, and you're like, you know, it's a Sunday afternoon, and you look like you've just going to a club. What's going on? So that sort of thing. And she goes, oh, you know what? You know, I think I'm still carrying a bit of Vegas. I was just in Vegas for the weekend. I just got back. I'm like, wow, okay, fair play. I'll start talking about her experiences in Vegas because she doesn't give a fuck about me right now. I am no one to her. I am just, let's face it, a handsome beast who's come up to her and said these sweet nothings, really. Like, you look nice, I saw you from over there, that sort of thing. So at this moment, I need to bring value to the table. So what brings value to the table, right? She's just told me she's had a trip in Vegas. So the first thing is which a lot of mature guys do actually quite well, is keep to the topic. Okay, so don't diverge into a completely different realm. The younger guys tend to actually do this a lot more, but older guys at least tend to keep on topic. So that's important. So I have to keep with Vegas and partying, because those are the two subjects now in the pot. Remember, I've made a video about this, the conversational pot. So now she said Vegas and she's partied in Vegas. So those two crucial subjects are in the pot right now. Now the next thing I need to do is to pick that up and give her value back. Okay, remember, I have no value right now, so I need to create value. And the way you do that is by speaking about her. Because the moment you start speaking about yourself, which is what a lot of guys do over 30, and I understand why. This is the reason why. We should explain why they do this. Is because they have a wealth of experience in life, and they feel that the world needs to know, or certainly the girl needs to know for her to be attracted. But basically what you're doing there is you're applying to be her pussy companion. That's all you're doing, right? Because imagine a job interview scenario. Who's in the most powerful seat, right? the guy who's got the job to give. The guy who's applying for the job, what's he doing? He's speaking about himself the whole time. Okay, the guy who's got the job to give doesn't even need to say anything about himself once, apart from if this person asks a question. So you see the value dynamics there in the most extreme example is basically, if the more you speak about yourself, the more you need to show off, the more you're applying for this job. In this case, it happens to be, sleeping with her, but you're still applying yourself in the most needy way to get there, right? So the most powerful way to get there is actually to reverse those roles and start speaking about her and getting her to reveal herself, right? So that's the way you switch those dynamics around. So let's go back to the Vegas example. So what you would say then is, okay, so I guess like you and your mate were just like going around from club to club, martini in hand on the casino floors, placing cheeky bets. And then you bring back those floods of memories. And then she did, and I'm like, did you even watch a show, like a cultural event, or you were just like hardcore partying? Oh God, you're in trouble. That sort of stuff. If she's obviously going to say, yeah, we just like pool parties, and I was just going, God, you're trouble. I think you'd make a terrible girlfriend. I can already tell, because the guy will be worried the whole time. And that's it. I'm disqualifying. I'm doing all that sort of stuff. But I'm bringing value to the table. I'm calling her cheeky. I'm sort of making the whole scenario playful, fun. But what guys over 30 tend to do is they go, oh yeah, me and my friend went to Vegas once, and it's such a good time there. What we did was this, and we did this. And it's just, she does not give a fuck. Like, you've just walked up to her. You're no one. I know in your head you're amazing. You're this person you've known for like 30 odd years. But she has no clue as to who you are. What is that to her? What is, millions of people go to Vegas every bloody year. And she's not going around going, have you been to Vegas? Because I've been to Vegas. Let's go for a date. She's not going around the streets doing that. What she needs is someone that can bring value to the table and make the conversation prosper. All right, so that's the first thing. Next point. Too logical. Too bloody logical, okay? A lot of men over 30, especially over 35, 40, tend to get really, really logical, and they lose their sense of fun around girls. Again, it goes back to you applying for some sort of position, because you think, oh wow, it's hot girl, so I better logically try and get her, right? But that, in turn, makes her run for the nearest exit, because it's like, oh God, this guy's just showing off to me. This guy's just being logical, and he's taking me way too seriously. I'm not, even if she likes you, she'll be like, oh, I don't want to be taken so seriously. I'm just a silly, lovely girl. Or I want a silly time first to see if this is going anywhere, right? So that's the whole idea. She wants you to build attraction first and be silly, and then get to know her. See if you guys can have fun together. That's like the most crucial thing for a girl. So when you're being so logical, this is what I've noticed around teaching guys over 30, 35, is they tend to just describe things even. Like, say he's been on a trip to Italy. They go, yeah, it was really cool. So we took the aeroplane to London, then we had a switch over to Milan, and then from over there we explored the countryside. And that's how they talk, Whereas you should be talking about the feelings, what Italy brought to your life. The food in Italy is just so fresh. It's like you walk around everywhere and you just smell fresh food everywhere. And you just feel like every pizza you're having is the best pizza you've ever had. And that's a much more engaging conversation. So get away from the mathematics of situations. Talk about how things make you feel, how things made you feel, so people can genuinely relate to those feelings, and the beautiful picture you're painting is a lot more attractive to be around. A lot of girls really, really appreciate a guy who can just make them feel things rather than just, yeah, okay. That's what she's feeling when you're being logical. But when you're genuinely like putting your emotions into every sentence, and you're speaking with expression and beauty, and you're in the moment. So to recap on these two very major and related points, I want you to remember, use your worldly experience, firstly, to be about it, not speak about it. So don't harp on about your experiences too much. And then use that worldly experience to describe things about her and her world. So if you've traveled in Europe, and obviously she's excited about doing her first year away in Europe, traveling around from country to country, talk about it in terms of her experience. So you have all the experience of how traveling makes you feel as an older man, and now use that to create conversation and bring value to the table as far as her experiences are concerned, and use that to tease, to display knowledge, to describe these beautiful images that she can genuinely relate to. Because here's the difference between you and the younger guys. The younger guy who's 22 isn't emotionally mature enough to even think of these like feelings. You know, how Italy made her feel, how traveling gives you this sense of accomplishment and the sense of freedom that nothing else gives you. So that's the sort of stuff I want you to start thinking about when you're out in the field and you're conversing with these beautiful girls. Now, the third point, okay, again, very crucial. These are all like elements you need in your game, okay? So if you're missing one crucial piece, it can really trip you up. Now, this one is all about you as an older man being afraid to say something cheeky that might push her away. Okay, because again, as an older man, you feel like when you're in your early 20s, you feel like there's an abundance of girls. Even if there isn't, like sometimes you feel that because you're in college, you've got all these mates who are perhaps talking about girls all the time. So you're much less needy because of that. Now, the older you get, you know, your friends get married off, even the girls you knew at university, they're getting married. So you feel there's like, oh my God, what's going on? But day game changes all that. All of a sudden, you're meeting cute 22, 23-year-olds who are just excited about life and don't want perhaps anything serious just yet. So they're afraid of a guy who basically does too much pulling instead of a little bit of push. Okay, and that's where a lot of you older guys trip yourselves up, by not being brave enough and socially intelligent enough to recognize that there's a bit of push in there just to make her feel comfortable. A good example here would be, let's say she's out shopping and you've just met her on a high street or in even a supermarket or in a mall, and you just say, okay, so you're all about buying organic food, or you're all about like having the latest style. So you have to be cheeky enough to be able to say, so is that yours or is that on daddy's credit card? You know, that kind of cheekiness, you know, like, you know, oh, you're so high maintenance. I can already tell. I should probably run now. This is terrible. You know, that kind of thing. And it just shows that you can be playful. You can be like not this guy who's taking her too seriously too soon, because that's what girls are really afraid of. You know, they meet this cool guy, nice guy, but oh shit, he's taking me, like it could be actually going okay, but she knows you're over 35 and you have this aura that might make her feel like she's on a pedestal, and that's not who she wants to meet. She wants to meet an older guy who makes her feel beautiful, who makes her feel wonderful, at the same time who can tease her like daddy does with his little daughter, you know, that kind of thing. And it's a lot of girls actually have this bloody fantasy. They want to date an older man. They're genetically preordained almost to choose someone older, and it doesn't really matter as long as you make her feel those beautiful things she wants to feel. All right, so that's the third point. Now, I won't leave you just there. You know, we're all about the value. But I'll give you a fourth point to really round this off. And this is really important. And it's something I've always noticed in high-achieving, successful clients. And they tend to be clients, obviously, over 30. They've sorted out their life, their job, the house, and now they need to sort out the girl. And where this leads is they're very sort of like shy about sometimes not being taken. It comes from insecurity, remember that. They're very shy about being taken for some sort of sugar daddy figure or some sort of provider figure. So they do everything they can to perhaps make sure that that's not the case. To the point where I've had these guys millionaires ask me, if I invite her for a coffee, should I buy the coffee? And it's just so ludicrous that you'd be that insecure to think you've just met a beautiful girl and you're taking her for a coffee, not even a $5 coffee. And she's going, well, I've got nothing better to do. There's obviously, as a hot girl, there's nothing in the world that could earn me $5 apart from going for a coffee with this guy, because where else am I going to get my coffees from? Do you know what I mean? She is not thinking that. That's your insecurity. So remember that. So even if you invite a girl out for a sushi, she's not coming out for the sushi. She should just go on Tinder and find herself a bloke who would take her to an even better restaurant, right? The point is, she's coming out because she's met you and she likes you, right? If I thought like that, and none of my lays in the last year or so would count, because I've taken like girls for sushis on an instant date, but I know I'm secure in my own value. I don't need to believe that she's coming to sushi because I've said, do you want to go for sushi? I was just going to go at 7 p.m. and I'm genuinely hungry and I'm just going to go for sushi. Do you want to join me? You're invited. Don't worry about it. But that's polite. That's the manly thing to do. You should always pick up the bill as a man, if you can, especially because, look, you're over 30, she's 22, she's a struggling college girl. It's not even a matter of it's a matter of principle. You know, that's what it is. And you have to get that through your head and feel secure enough to know that these girls want to be with you, not just because you can afford a bit of sushi. But going to that point, it is actually amazing that you have this lifestyle where you can possibly take a few hours off work and you can go and chat up a beautiful girl with confidence and then take her for sushi and not even think about it. The fact that you have that lifestyle is an achievement in itself. The fact that you might own a Porsche is an achievement in itself. That Porsche wasn't just given to you. Right? You had to bloody work your ass off for that for the last 10 years, right? To be able to do that sort of stuff, to live that sort of life. And so that's you. So if she's attracted to you because you might own a beautiful car, she's attracted to the symbolism of what a Porsche suggests. So a Porsche suggests a guy who's disciplined, hardworking, intelligent, and he's got style and who's got an amazing job, obviously. And why wouldn't a girl be attracted to that? They're hardwired to be attracted to men who symbolize power, who symbolize the security. Of course they are. That's billions of years of programming there. You can't change that. So be proud of it. Don't be insecure about it. There's so many men who have that and she's not going for them, right? She can go on Tinder or there are websites for this sort of stuff. She could go on sugardaddy.com or whatever. She's not that sort of girl, but she's impressed by the symbolism of what you have and what you own, the beauty of it. And put it this way, when we first meet girls, what I say, especially on an instant date, is I usually end up taking them for a coffee, right? So she's not coming for that coffee, for that $5 coffee, because she can't get a $5 coffee anywhere else, right? So you got to remember that. You got to remember this girl's intentions are pure and beautiful. Girls you meet through websites might be different, but girls in day game have better intentions, largely. Obviously, you're going to come across a few sugar daddies. I've come across in London. I used to approach so much. I used to come across quite a few... because I used to obviously not give off that vibe, a lot of the girls who looked like were looking for sugar daddies would dismiss me. And that's perfect. That's beautiful. And the girls... I even approached some girls who I didn't know were escorts. They would text me then their prices. I'd invite them out for a coffee and they'd text me their prices. So I wouldn't be even worried unless you're if you're insecure in yourself and you think that people might want you just for your money. That's an issue you've got to deal with, okay? That's not the girl's issue. That's your issue. But don't be open-minded, see where it goes, and 9 out of 10 times, girls you meet in day game are perfectly beautiful and have the right intentions. So there you go, guys. Make sure you go out there and you incorporate all these beautifully valuable points. And remember, this is 10 years of research that I've had to do for these points to, come up in a pattern way so I can talk about them, right? And there's about 20 more of these in a seminar that I'll be holding in LA in about 2 weeks' time. Is on the 17th and 18th of December of this month. And I want you there, okay? I want you to fly into LA and come to our seminar. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. You're going to get a ton of value. As I said, like, this sort of stuff doesn't come easily. This is 10 years of trial and error. And then teaching all sorts of guys and seeing these patterns develop over time. This isn't, child's play. This is real empirical evidence that I'm giving you. So it's really valuable. So if you're a divorcee, if you're a guy over 30, if you're a guy who's perhaps been in a long-term relationship and you're now getting back into it, this seminar is aimed specifically at you, right? As far as I know, this has never been done before. Something like this, where someone like me with 10 years of experience of teaching all kinds of clients from, I've taught 16-year-olds, right? 16-year-old guys to, I think 61, 62-year-old guys. Okay, so that's the sort of scope of experience I'm talking about. So then I've seen this pattern, these amazing things that younger guys do that might trip them up, and older guys do that might trip them up. And then sometimes what a younger guy does is so much more appropriate for him and it works. And when an older guy does it, it just doesn't work. Vice versa. So therefore, I had to develop this seminar because I actually felt very passionate about it. Now I've just entered my 30s, so I feel like this is something that even I can learn from, because I've never really sat down and compartmentalized all of this stuff, and this is the first time I'll be doing this, and we might record it. I've had countless suggestions that I should, because obviously it's a set date in LA. It's not the easiest place to reach in the world, and I will do, but it will be released in the new year at a much later date. But if you can come to the seminar, I think you definitely should, and you'll get that one-on-one experience with me, and we'll go out in the field, because 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica is not very far. It's full of hot girls, and I'll be listening to you with Bluetooth mics, and make sure you guys really have taken this on board. All these amazing points that make the biggest difference to a guy who's over 30 or divorced or been in a long-term relationship and is getting back into it now. So yeah, I really look forward to seeing you all there. I know you all can't make it, but as I said, we're going to try and release it as a product some point down the line too. But if you can make it, click the link below, and I'll see you in LA on the 17th and 18th of December. But if I don't see you, then make sure you're always subscribed and you give this video a like and comment with any questions you might have. And there'll be a lot more coming your way, a flurry of videos over the Christmas period and into the new year. I'm genuinely excited again about the YouTube channel. I can't wait to give you guys more and more value, similar to this beautiful video. All right, and I'll see you soon.